What is up, my overgrown children? And no, I'm actually not talking about you. I'm talking about the cast of Stranger Things. Did you see season 5 that just dropped a couple days ago? These kids apparently are still in high school. The last season was on like 6 years ago. It comes back. One of these kids is walking down the hallway, and it looks like Kobe Bryant when he was playing on the Lakers. This kid looks 36, and he's sitting there in a Letterman jacket talking to some high school kids in front of a couple lockers. Why do I bring that up? Really, for no reason at all, other than people can believe anything. Like, people can believe that those kids are still in high school. Some of them are in their 30s, the same way they believe they can hit all sorts of money lines in the NHL. You don't believe me? Look at this slate tonight. This is like the way Vecna would tease and bait somebody into thinking, or Freddy Krueger showing you what you want to see. Tonight's slate in the NHL, to me, if I put on my Dan hat, my Lids blank canvas hat that you can just wear on any TV show and not get any strikes because there's a logo, well, if I did put on that plain generic hat from Lids and I became a Dan, I'd look at this slate and say, oh my, look at this. The Anaheim Ducks, aren't they one of the best teams in the NHL? And they're playing aren't the Blues one of the worst teams in the NHL? I'm taking the Anaheim Ducks. That's how life works. That's how hockey works. Then you can go right down to the bottom and you can say, wait a minute, the Sharks have been winning all these home games. Utah, they haven't won in weeks. They might send them back to Phoenix. I'm taking the Sharks. Wait a minute. Didn't the Jets win the President's Trophy? And the Sabres are the laughing stock of the league. They're right around the same price. I'm taking the Jets. So here's what I want you to do. Here's how we're going to start this week. And obviously, when you leave a comment, it's time-stamped. So you can't go after the games and do what I'm about to ask you. This is actually yes, it is engagement, but I actually want to show you. It counts as long as you post this before the first game. I want you to comment the 5 winners on tonight's slate. Comment all 5 winners, and I'm going to go through and see who nailed the 5-teamer correctly. And then we're actually going to see what it's like to be the sports book taking bets and seeing how many donkeys miss. So do me a favor. All you got to do, you don't have to write the words money line, just write the 5 teams you think you're going to win, because all the prices are okay. The New Jersey Devils have 1 loss at home, 1 regulation loss at home, 2 losses in total, and they're playing this Columbus Blue Jackets team who still is without Marchenko. They're losing games left and right. There's nothing that makes you think that they're going to win this game in New Jersey. So I'm taking the Devils, minus 150, right? Tell me your 5 winners on this slate. They look pretty apparent. They look pretty obvious. And then by the end of it, after you scroll the comments at the end of the night and you see what other people put, then you'll understand why I try to delve into the player props, into the solid values that are there. And I can talk about one almost in every single game on this slate, but I'll talk about that game that you guys probably, you just want to slam the Ducks. You want to slam the Ducks against St. Louis. But on Friday, I closed saying, I think St. Louis is going to go on a random run. Everybody goes on random runs from the top of the league to the bottom. The New York Islanders, while everybody got excited about them being great who are Islander fans, they had 1 loss only against Colorado on an 8-game road trip, beating the best teams in the league. They gave the Devils that first loss on their own home ice. Then they come home and are losing every single game on this homestand. So it goes to show you, it doesn't matter who it is. And I kind of sniffed out that we're going to see a Blues run somewhat soon. And I don't know if we're in the midst of it, but you're definitely seeing better results. I think they have wins in 3 of their last 4, and they're playing an Anaheim Ducks team who, yes, started out red hot. Now they're losing left and right, especially without having Dostal back there bailing them out, which obviously he was doing a significant percentage of the time. Even though the team was letting up goals, Dostal continued right where he left off last year, and he was playing great hockey. Now with him out of the lineup, you're getting games like yesterday. They go up 2-0 immediately on the Blackhawks. This was any other time, I mean, they should be able to close out that game if this was early October. But no. They end up losing, with 6-3 with a couple of empty netters. And now Anaheim takes their show on the road the very next night. So they're playing 2 games in 2 nights against a St. Louis team who's feeling pretty good about themselves. And I think that's illustrated by the money line. Like, you think the sports books are stupid? Putting -150 on St. Louis, who looked like one of the worst teams in the league pretty recently. So I'm looking at this St. Louis team, seeing how can I squeeze a little juice out of this. Obviously, one of the ways potentially are over 3.5 goals against a team who's giving up goals left and right. But you know what? The reason I don't like that is St. Louis is coming off of a 1-0 trickler shutout. You know, I like taking teams after shutouts, but since we aren't getting a good price on the St. Louis money line, I'm checking, in those bunkers. They got anyone? They got anyone at a good price? Top line, top power play. That's the name of the game. Yes, Jake-Neighbours playing on the top line with Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas. You really can't ask for a better duo than that to be playing with. And as of the last game, he's on the top line with them. So, it fits all the criteria. Top line, top power play at home where you can get the matchups that you want. And that's really all you can hope for against a team who's giving up a ton of goals, who had to play yesterday and gave up a ton of goals. So I'm going to go with Jake-Neighbours in this game here for a point against the Anaheim Ducks. And then, we can take that line, that full line for a point, which will bring you north of +300. Then let's go to Buffalo. Speaking of stranger things, where up is down and down is up. It's like one of those arcade games where you're a Top Gun fighter pilot. You want to go up, but you got to push down, and you got to go down, so you got to pull up. That's kind of what it's like in Buffalo. Every time you think, oh, now they're scoring goals, we're going to get those ruckus Sabres. They get shut out on their own home ice by the New Jersey Devils. Then they go on the road, force overtime against Minnesota. You can be getting anything from them at any time. And now they're welcoming in the Winnipeg Jets, who are a different team right now. Ever since Hellebuck has left the lineup, they actually need to score goals to win. They got their first win in like 4 or 5 games last game, and now they're coming in there to play Buffalo. And I know your eyes sees what I showed you before with the you're talking about last year's President's Trophy winner going into Buffalo. You mean to tell me they can't win that game? No, they can definitely win that game. The question is, will they? I tend to think if I was going to put on my blank lids hat and take one of these favorites, it's probably going to be Winnipeg. I like the fact that they got a win in the last game because they are the kind of team that once they get in a good groove, even though Hellebuck's not there, I feel like they can play a highly structured game. We saw the Devils go into Buffalo, shut out the Sabres, but this is not really something I like to mess with. But one thing that I did notice is Gabe Villardi has, I believe, 7 points in his last 5 games. He's really firing. And I only bring that up because he's one of those guys where he's the member of one of those mega stacked lines, the Svechnikov member of the line. The one guy whose point is priced fairly enough where you can take him and Scheiffele and get a +110 for both of those guys for a point against the Buffalo Sabres, who, let's just say, don't scare you defensively. And then on the other side, if the Sabres are able to score a couple goals, we saw a little bit of line juggling, but what's most important to know, Tage Thompson's still on the top line. Z.Benson's playing with him. I don't think Z.Benson is a great player by any stretch, but I do think that he's playing on that line with Tage Thompson, is on that top power play with Tage Thompson against a Winnipeg team who concedes way more often than they did last year or the year before, or any year, essentially, where Connor Hellebuck was in the back of the net. Now, Connor Hellebuck, we always were a little less scared of him on the road. We were always a little less scared of the Jets on the road. But now, without Hellebuck back there, that's even more so the case. So give me Z.Benson for a point, and we can pair him with Tage Thompson. That will get you north of +200. And then let's go to Philly, where you got the Flyers, who all of a sudden, remember the Penguins were the number 1 team, them and the Sharks. So number 1 in the East, number 1 in the West. It's just going to be a rematch of that Stanley Cup from the mid-2010s. Or not so much, and these teams are just free-falling down the standings. So the Pittsburgh Penguins are taking on Philadelphia, who I was thinking about Philadelphia fans. It was always a toss-up. Who are the biggest dirtbag fans? And fans from Long Island and Philly were just, we both have Santa Claus incidents. I was involved with one of them. the question remains to me, if you watch the Eagles game, I really feel like if you gave Philadelphia fans the options for a game to go smoothly, they wouldn't hit it. I'm telling you, they booed the game going to commercial. They booed the team who was under one score, so they just won the Super Bowl. Then they were down by under one score, and because the offense wasn't lighting it up, they booed the offense as they headed onto the field. And I think it's because they find more comfort in being disgruntled. I know a thing or two about that, but I think that's what it is. I truly think subconsciously, I know this sounds crazy, they don't want the team to win because then they get to let out those emotions that they enjoy letting out. The thrill of booing, what that lets out to me is higher than the thrill of actually winning, which is more of a, all right, that's nice. But letting out the anger that is just stored up over God knows what, I think that's what we got going on here. Now, when it comes to hockey, I don't know. The Flyers have been bad for a while now, so different kind of vibes in that building. But the Flyers are kind of right there with everybody else in this league. You could look from worst to first, and just a few teams are under 500. Neither of these two teams are. So with the Penguins' struggles, hopefully that brings a price or two down. I'm seeing a guy who, you look back a couple of weeks, his point is minus 140, minus 150, and that's E.Karlsson, the power play one defenseman for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And it's as simple as, if his price is going to moonwalk back all the way up to plus 110, then welcome back to the club. You've made it. There's always a spot waiting for you if you're showing up with the plus. It's the opposite of a normal place when they called, hey, we wanted to come to that spot tonight. Is that cool? Oh, yeah, well, how many? You and plus what? And if you say me and plus 6, they're livid. Any sort of plus, I'm thrilled with. And now E.Karlsson is a plus 110. I will take him for a point against the Philadelphia Flyers. And then just a natural classic combo. I haven't talked about this in a little bit, but I never have a problem reminding you. The power play defenseman for an assist, that would be Karlsson. The 2 points for their best player in Sidney Crosby. And there's a little same game parlay. And then I can tell you this about that late game, because even though I waited, I didn't see any player props available. I don't know why they're holding them. Is it all because of Logan Cooley, because of the Charlie horse he took, and they don't know he's going to play, so they're withholding all of them? I can tell you this about the Utah, Phoenix, Arizona Coyote Hockey Club Mammoth and the San Jose Sharks. There are definitely values to be had here. Utah, Phoenix, Arizona have lost just so many. I mean, have they lost like 10 of 12? They are just losing and losing and losing and losing. Last game, we saw Peterka playing up top with Schmaltz and Keller. It remains to be seen if that's going to stay together. All I want to let you know is, because of how poorly this team has been performing, you're going to get appetizing prices on all those guys. Let's say Cooley's out, for example. They hold him out. Well, that's going to make things real easy, because then Peterka is going to get bumped to that top power play, and we got all those guys. I'm nearly certain that Keller Schmaltz, just make sure they're playing together, is going to be plus 130. This is against the San Jose Sharks. I know they've been playing better. I know they can score more. I know they make games competitive. But you can still pile in goals. This is still a bad team with a lack of quality players, and specifically quality defensemen. So just look for some of those props. On the San Jose side, yes, you can always take Celebrini and Smith. I sniffed out Toffoli returning to that top line. Didn't return to the top power play, unfortunately. But one thing I've been noticing, every single game, they're listing Alex Wennberg at like plus 120 or plus 130 for a point. This guy's playing on the second line with Eklund. He's on the top power play with Celebrini. That remains a great point prop. That fits most of the criteria. It's not top line, top power play, but it's the very next best thing. Second line with a good player in Eklund and top power play. And he gets a lot of overtime 3-on-3 shifts in the event that it goes to that. So there are definitely good players. And then obviously we can do, this game is good for the 2 and 2. I don't have the prices for you, but I got news for you. They're all going to be close to plus 1,000. The game's listed at 5.5, which juices the prices on that. And guys on Utah haven't been performing a lot. So you can do 2 points for Celebrini, 2 points for, if Cooley's out, use Peterka. If Cooley's in, you can use Cooley. 2 points for Keller, 2 points for Will Smith. That is what I have for you here on a Monday. Good luck to you. but I'll never want you to have better luck than me. Make sure you are subscribed here to my YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, you enjoy anything, or you just want to be a good human being. A good human being clicks. And where did I read that? What commandment is that? None. I just made it up here, but I will think you're a good human. And if you appreciate that and you appreciate everything we're doing, give a guy a couple clicks. Those are the tier 1 favors. Like, comment, subscribe, click the notifications. Tier 2 favor, click the hype button so it helps me out, spreads these videos. More hockey fans get to see these videos. And then the tier 3 favor, and also, you know, it can have some peripheral benefits when these props do come out. You will get them there when they are available, and that is being a member of the Patreon, a minority owner, as I like to call you. You get to be a minority owner and feel the same way the Packers fans do, who can't make a single move, who have no say in any of the stuff that goes on here. But they get to say, you know, I own the Packers. They go on a date. A girl's not impressed until they learn that person's a minority owner of this YouTube show, and you can do that by going to Patreon, patreon.com/Andy Francess. Like I said, that's where you get my weekend sniffs. That's where you can get line combos. That's where you can engage with the other sniffers. So there's a lot of stuff there other than just supporting this content. I hopefully will see you over there. If not, I will see you Tuesday. Just an endless string of games once again. There are so many because of the condensed schedule, because of Olympics. I will see you then for the next round of NHL Sniffs. Take it easy.